Imagine you're cruising at 35,000 feet in a Boeing 777. The flight is smooth, the engines are humming, and everything feels perfectly safe. Welcome to your virtual flight training. Up here on the flight deck, pilots are surrounded by a vast array of switches, dials, and screens. If you're new to aviation, make sure to like and subscribe as we decode exactly how all this machinery keeps you safe. The plane has to be able to tell the difference between a real engine fire and a simple computer glitch. Shutting down a healthy engine mid-flight is a massive risk, so a sensor error can be just as dangerous as the fire itself. To prevent that risk, the aircraft doesn't panic the second a sensor acts up. Instead, it relies on a strict layer of required proof before sounding the alarm. This diagram shows the engine fire detection system. Notice how there are two separate sensory wires, called Loop 1 and Loop 2, physically wrapped around the engine. They work together as a double-check system. For the main fire alarm to trigger in the cockpit, both loops must provide independent proof of extreme heat at the exact same time. One sensor signaling a fire simply isn't enough to alert the pilot. But what if one of these wires physically breaks or shorts out? The computer instantly notices the defect and switches modes, routing its logic to rely entirely on the healthy wire. To ensure those sensory loops are actually working, the airplane runs a hidden diagnostic check on the entire system automatically every 5 minutes of the flight. Because of this required double check, a pilot is shielded from acting on bad data. By the time the bells finally ring, the computer has verified the sensors and confirmed the emergency is undeniably real. When both loops confirm a fire, flashing red master warning lights illuminate, a loud warning bell sounds, and a bold warning message appears on the pilot's screen. Right in the center console between the pilots, a specific engine fire switch glows red, identifying exactly which engine has the problem. This cross-section shows the handle's internal mechanism. An electronic pin normally holds it in place, preventing accidental pulls. A confirmed fire signal pulls the pin back, freeing the handle. If stuck, a manual fail-safe override switch forces the pin away. This handle is heavily guarded because pulling it is a total commitment. When that switch comes up, the pilot is effectively amputating that specific engine from the rest of the airplane. To execute the quarantine, the pilot grips the illuminated handle and pulls it straight up. This flowchart shows the airplane's fluid pathways. Instantly, main fuel valves slam shut, starving the fire. Next, hydraulic valves depressurize, stopping flammable fluids. Simultaneously, air regulators seal to block smoke, and generators trip, severing all power connections. In less than a second, the engine becomes a dead, isolated block of metal, completely disconnected from the plane's main systems. But the fire inside that metal shell is still actively burning. This technical illustration shows the airplane's internal structure. Hidden deep behind the walls of the forward cargo compartment are two identical fire extinguishing bottles. These heavy containers are filled with halon, a powerful fire-suppressing chemical. To ensure it travels fast, the halon is pressurized with a massive amount of nitrogen gas. The containers even have safety ports to ensure the extreme pressure doesn't cause them to burst. To release that pressure, the pilot takes the fire switch they just pulled up, twisted completely to the side, and holds it for 1 full second. This cross-section shows the bottom of the fire bottle. Twisting the handle sends an electrical current all the way down to a component called a squib. A squib is a small explosive device. When the current hits the squib, it detonates. This fires a metal slug that violently shatters a sealed disc at the bottom of the bottle. At cruising altitude, you cannot rely on gravity or slow pumps to put out a roaring fire. You need a controlled explosion to instantly blow the path open. With the seal broken, pressurized nitrogen gas aggressively pushes the halon through a network of pipes, spraying it directly inside the engine casing to completely suffocate the flames. As the bottle empties, a tiny pressure switch inside detects the sudden drop. This switch sends a signal back up to the cockpit, illuminating a light that confirms the chemical was successfully fired. If the red fire warning still doesn't disappear from the screen, the pilot rotates the handle in the opposite direction to fire the second backup bottle. First, the computer demands proof before acting. Then, the aircraft starves the engine of everything it needs to function. Finally, it uses a controlled detonation to flood the space with a suffocating gas. You now understand exactly how the Boeing 777 secures its worst-case scenario. Great job on your first flight lesson!